A Child's Garden of Verses. A Child's Garden of Verses by Robert Louis Stevenson, illustrated by Elizabeth Webbe. Time to rise. A birdie with a yellow bill hopped upon the window sill, cocked his shining eye, and said, "Ain't you shamed, you sleepy head?" Marching Song. Bring the comb and play upon it. Marching, here we come. Willie cocks his Highland bonnet. Johnny beats the drum. Mary Jane commands the party. Peter leads the rear. Feet in time, alert and hardy, each a grenadier. All in the most martial manner, marching double quick, while the napkin, like a banner, waves upon the stick. Here's enough of fame and pillage, great Commander Jane. Now that we've been round the village, let's go home again. Where go the boats? Dark brown is the river, golden is the sand. It flows along forever, with trees on either hand. Green leaves a-floating, castles of the foam, boats of mine a-boating, where will all come home? On goes the river, and out past the mill, away down the valley, away down the hill. Away down the river, 100 miles or more, other little children shall bring my boats ashore. Looking forward. When I am grown to man's estate, I shall be very proud and great, and tell the other girls and boys not to meddle with my toys. Whole duty of children. A child should always say what's true, and speak when he is spoken to, and behave mannerly at table, at least as far as he is able. The land of counterpane. When I was sick and lay abed, I had 2 pillows at my head, and all my toys beside me lay to keep me happy all the day. And sometimes for an hour or so I watched my leaden soldiers go, with different uniforms and drills among the bedclothes through the hills, and sometimes sent my ships and fleets all up and down among the sheets, or brought my trees and houses out, and planted cities all about. I was the giant, great and still, that sits upon the pillow hill, and sees before him dale and plain, the pleasant land of counterpane. Rain. The rain is raining all around, it falls on field and tree, it rains on the umbrellas here, and on the ships at sea. At the seaside. When I was down beside the sea, a wooden spade they gave to me, to dig the sandy shore. My holes were empty like a cup, in every hole the sea came up, till it could come no more. The hayloft. Through all the pleasant meadow side the grass grew shoulder high, till the shining scythes went far and wide, and cut it down to dry. These green and sweetly smelling crops they led in wagons home, and they piled them here in mountain tops for mountaineers to roam. Here is Mount Clear, Mount Rusty Nail, Mount Eagle, and Mount High. The mice that in these mountains dwell no happier are than I. Oh, what a joy to clamber there! Oh, what a place for play, with the sweet, the dim, the dusty air, the happy hills of hay. From a railway carriage. Faster than fairies, faster than witches, bridges and houses, hedges and ditches, and charging along like troops in a battle, all through the meadows the horses and cattle, All of the sights of the hill and the plain fly as thick as driving rain, and ever again in the wink of an eye painted stations whistle by. Here is a child who clambers and scrambles all by himself in gathering brambles. Here is a tramp who stands and gazes, and there is the green for stringing the daisies. Here is a cart run away in the road, lumping along with a man and a load. And here is a mill, and there is a river, each a glimpse and gone forever. Good and bad children. Children, you are very little, and your bones are very brittle. If you would grow great and stately, you must try to walk sedately. You must still be bright and quiet, and content with simple diet, and remain, through all bewildering, innocent and honest children. Happy hearts and happy faces, happy play in grassy places. That was how in ancient ages children grew to kings and sages. The flowers. All the names I know from nurse, gardener's garters, shepherd's purse, bachelor's buttons, lady's smock, and the lady hollyhock. Fairy places, fairy things, fairy woods where the wild bee wings, tiny trees for tiny dames, these must all be fairy names. Tiny woods below whose boughs shady fairies weave a house, tiny tree-tops, rose or thyme, where the braver fairies climb. Fair are grown-up people's trees, but the fairest woods are these, where, if I were not so tall, I should live for good and all. My bed is a boat. My bed is like a little boat. Nurse helps me in when I embark. She girds me in my sailor's coat and starts me in the dark. At night I go on board and say good night to all my friends on shore. I shut my eyes and sail away, and see and hear no more. And sometimes things to bed I take, as prudent sailors have to do, perhaps a slice of wedding cake, perhaps a toy or two. All night across the dark we steer, but when the day returns at last, safe in my room beside the pier, I find my vessel fast.